Hi, this is Pat, and I am so excited today because we have with us again, it's Thursday, so you know it's Joan Watson, and she is a speaker and an author and just an all-around fantastic lady. And if you remember, last time we spoke to her last Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago because of Thanksgiving, we talked about the National Youth Conference. So, Joni, just a little bit, what was your highlight from that? Because you were there.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. So I was working the exhibit hall, and so we just got glimpses of what was happening in the stadium in Lucas Oil. But when the Pope had his live stream with the youth, all the exhibitors gathered around the EWTN coverage, and we all watched it together. And It was so beautiful to see that live interaction, that the Pope clearly was, at times he would speak off the cuff, and he really spoke from the heart for the kids, and I think it made such an impact in so many of their lives. I think it's going to be a moment they all remember.
Oh yeah, that's exciting stuff. And those conferences, I think there's just so much grace that comes from those in so many ways. So, do you know how many kids were there?
There were over 17,000 total attendees.
Wow.
So I think that includes group leaders or chaperones, but. That's a lot of kids. There's a lot of energy. We're all going to, we all needed a break afterwards. But it was so beautiful, I think, for them to see that they're not alone. Often, when I was in high school, I tended to think I was the only one who cared about my faith. And to go to things like this is so important to see that they're not alone and that there are other kids like them.
Right. Well, Joni, we are in the season of Advent as we speak. So, what wisdom do you have to share with us today on the season of Advent? I think we talked a little bit about the kind of how it could be countercultural. Is that the direction you're going to take us?
Yeah, I love Advent, but I think it's the most countercultural season we celebrate in the church. It is just not what our culture believes in. And it's not just that everybody's already decorated for Christmas. People were decorating for Christmas in October already. And, I think that's a sign that we don't know how to celebrate Advent because our culture doesn't know how to wait. So, I mean, when you look at the liturgical seasons, Lent, people would think, oh, well, I think Lent is the most countercultural. But, our culture recognizes the need to sacrifice. Maybe they wouldn't say they recognize the need for penance, but our culture recognizes that, if you want to go to the Olympics, you have to train, right? And you have to give up something to get something, and you have to work hard. And so I think we can talk to our culture about Lent a little easier than we can talk to our culture about Advent. We live in a culture that does not understand the goodness of waiting, and so they don't celebrate Advent. They go straight to Christmas even before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So. Joni, and obviously, and you hear people say all the time when I talk about virtue, when I'm out in parishes or whatever, a lot of people will say patience is the thing they struggle with. And that plays right into this, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Because, we can't be patient unless we practice patience, right? So people are like, oh, I hear a lot of times people are like, oh, I was so patient before I got married. I was so patient before I had kids. And it was like, no, you weren't. You just didn't, you didn't have the capability to practice it, right? And so Advent is that time where we actually can practice waiting. We can practice, especially when we're surrounded by people who aren't waiting. It is a sacrifice for me to not decorate for Christmas right away. I love Christmas. And it's so funny because when I talk to people about how, I'm not decorating for Christmas yet, they're like, oh, well, I love Christmas. And I want to be like, yeah, and I hate it? That's not the reason I'm not decorating for Christmas. That's not the reason I'm not listening to Christmas songs. One thing I do during Advent, because you don't want to be a Grinch, right? You don't want to, get mad at people for celebrating Christmas. But you can set different boundaries for yourself. And one thing I do is I set a boundary for myself, and I don't listen to Christmas music until Gaudete Sunday. So Gaudete Sunday, we'll talk more about that when we get closer to it. But it's that third Sunday of Advent where we light the rose candle because we're getting close. What about setting little boundaries for yourself and not listening to Christmas music on your own until Gaudete Sunday? It's a sacrifice But Advent is supposed to be a sacrificial season, and it can be hard to sacrifice when we're surrounded by Christmas parties and Christmas cookies.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, I love Christmas too. And I am always one of these people that, I kind of start decorating the week after Thanksgiving because it's in every room of my house. So I just kind of take my time to go through. And I keep thinking in my head, I really need to wait longer, and like I have a 9-foot tree and I can't put that up myself. So since my husband's died, I have to depend on friends. So I'm tied to their schedule. But it is funny, isn't it? When you watch old movies, they were putting up Christmas trees on Christmas Eve.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I know moms who are busy, or like in your case, like there's certain things we have to work around what's practical, right? Like we don't want to be stressed out all of Advent because we know we have to put our Christmas tree up on Christmas Eve, right? That's crazy. But I think there are ways that we can make plans, just to sacrifice little things that maybe the world doesn't even see us making those sacrifices, so that when Christmas comes, we've fasted and now we can feast. So we fast so that we can feast and so that we can really live the Christmas season better and keep your tree up through Christmas, right?
That's the big thing. Yeah, a lot of people take it down the day after. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's been up since October 1st.
And I always think it's nice to have those, even if I wasn't Catholic and into a whole liturgical thing. I just think it's nice if you can to keep it up into that new year because January is so dreary. So it's nice.
Yes, I keep mine up all through January and celebrate as much as I can because I haven't had it up in December. So let's bring this year the actual Christmas season.
So, Joni, can you give us any other little, because I love your idea of, like waiting till, Gaudete Sunday to listen to Christmas music. Is there any other little things that you can give us that might help us, especially if we're kind of junkies that decorate right after, Thanksgiving, like me? Are there any little things I could do to start moving me in the right direction?
I would say celebrate the feast days during Advent. Celebrate them as feast days, not as Christmas, but, celebrate the Feast of St. Nicholas on the 6th. Celebrate Gaudete Sunday on the 3rd Sunday. Celebrate with the church. And so make those sacrifices throughout Advent. And then when the feast days come, celebrate them as feasts of Advent. And deprive yourself a little bit in other places so that when Christmas comes, you're not sick of it. So I love celebrating the great feasts of Advent. Taking those Catholic traditions sometimes that we've lost, whether it's St. Nicholas, Our Lady Guadalupe, celebrating those days as those feast days rather than just rushing into Christmas.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Now, Joni, because you're talking about music, which is near and dear to my heart, where do I find good Advent music? Like, is there a place that I could click and just have, because I can put in my Christmas CDs and those play for hours. But what can I do with Advent?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Advent music is the best. I love Advent music. I actually got on Spotify one time, and I'm not crazy about Spotify, but Spotify has Advent playlists. Some Christian artists have made Advent playlists. So there's great music during Advent.
All right. Well, I know when I worked for the church or did music in churches, I did a lot of that. But, more contemporary Advent music I'm always looking for. So thank you.
I'll send you a playlist, Pat.
Oh, that sounds great, Joni. I love it. Okay. Well, thanks for being with us, Joni. And I know we're taping this before Thanksgiving, but have a great Thanksgiving and a great beginning to Advent.
Thanks. You too.